Yes, welcome back. Courtesy of Windsor Park Stud, our guest today for the first of the new season is supermodel Kylie Bax. Kylie, we're working through, we've got to this look, the shock, the white hair. I must admit, I've seen some of your photos in researching this, and I've had to look twice at times because sometimes I don't even recognise that it's you. Other times I've looked twice because, that's what a bloke does. But yeah, is that one of the advantages you have of being able to change that look?
Yeah, I was known as the chameleon.
Yeah?
So pretty much, I just changed my look quite a bit, even though I was still the bleach blonde, short-haired, tall, gangy girl.
With the boyish looks.
Boyish looks, and they put me in a lot of suits, and you know.
I mean, you also said that you didn't have a lot of female friends. How catty is the modern business? I mean, you lived in a house with them when you were coming through. Did you not form any relationships with the girls, other girls, or is it that competitive?
Fleeting relationships. It's not that we're bitchy to each other. We're not. It's just very fleeting because you see them sometimes and everybody's
So you don't sit down with
and
Naomi Campbell and have lunch and stuff like that?
We didn't have lunch. I sat down with quite a few times, and she's a special character.
Yeah.
So you get to see these girls, Linda and Naomi and all of the above. But everybody's doing their thing. They have to fly here, fly there, so.
Your career really did take off towards the end of the 90s. I mean, really going amazingly. I mean, I to be honest, sitting back here, were you able to come back to New Zealand often? Were you keeping up with? No,
unfortunately not. No, it was very difficult to get away even for Christmas, because I would come up with jobs and they'd want me to stay, and so I did come home a few times. I did try.
One thing that I didn't realise, quite frankly, is how many movies you appeared in.
Yeah, a few.
Did you do acting class?
No.
Be like a tree? Yeah, no.
No. I like hosting things. I could actually take over your job anytime.
We know that. Yeah. Don't do that. They're going to be ringing up now. This is it. This is my first and last show. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Windsor Park Stud, I hand you back to Kylie Bax. Yeah, I think you'd do it. Yeah. You'd love that.
I don't want to scare the trackside fans.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So you did the acting. The movies were...
I did a few acting pieces, and most of them were just, being myself. And that was good. I worked with some really great people, Kristen Dunst, Colin Hanks. That was... For me, it was interesting, but it just wasn't. It's not really my cup of tea.
Okay. Well, look, I've spoken to a few people, and they said the real coup for you, in some regards, was in 2000 when you did Sports Illustrated. That a lot of models can do a lot of the covers. To get actually chosen for Sports Illustrated is one of the key roles.
At that time, it was looked upon as being, a prestigious thing to do, and not many girls. I think yes. Still, there's a lot more girls that do it. Whereas back then there was fewer girls that were selected to do it. So,
you look back on some of those photos and think, oh my God, do you cringe a bit, or are you still proud of your work?
A bit of both.
A bit of both. Yeah. Hey, listen, things were going so good for you, but you hadn't lost that interest in horses because you went over to Kentucky. How did that come about? You went to Kentucky and caught up with a man called John Gaines.
Oh, he's fantastic. Excuse me, but he was just amazing. Yeah. I don't know how I met him, but he just embraced me, took me under his wing, and we went around.
I can probably understand why.
He showed me around Gainesway, and he was fantastic. He was very old. He had a driver in a big black Cadillac, and we would go around in the Cadillac, and he'd have his driver help him out of the car, and he had a walking stick and everything. And he loved his artwork and everything, but he was just such a lovely man. You
had a vision when you were a child, obviously, to get a place. An opportunity came to buy a place in Kentucky.
Yes. Actually, my father chose it. He saw it because I had to go and work. We actually went over to Keeneland to buy a horse,
right?
Which we did, and then we had no place to put it.
Oh,
so, there you go. That's what happens. You have to buy a farm after that. Yeah. And
so you went and found a place? Not easy to buy a place. I mean, it's very loyal type.
No, they got a bit angry with me because there was quite a line. They actually have a protocol there. So people wait in line for the next property or the next farm or whatever. And I didn't realise that. So I just pushed in and
you had the money.
No, I went, hey, that's mine.
Yeah, it was at DuPont, one of the old DuPont places, wasn't it? And it had a bit of history to it too. There was the place next door had been the scene of a murder or something.
Yeah. Apparently some convicts had escaped from the local penitentiary or somewhere like that, and they actually came in and killed the entire family, including the dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you wanted to buy there?
That's
a really good sales point.
Beside that property. Luckily, it was all the way down the front, and the house that we had was all the way down the back. So.
It was an old established property, yours, wasn't it?
Yes, two big old barns in there, and just gorgeous.
Yeah. How long did you keep that place for?
About 17 years.
Yeah, gee whiz. And you prepared horses out of there or nothing, or did you just...
Well, we had this one horse, and we actually never got further than that on that. I just kept developing the New Zealand side of things more and more. And
yeah, because at the same time as you bought... And you called it B Ranch, not because of Bax, I read.
No, not because of Bax, because of a branch.
And
it
why?
keeps growing and growing and growing, and that's how it's supposed to be, that everything has life and it keeps growing. And
everything has a reason. And at the same time, there was something going on here in New Zealand. We'd had Blandford Lodge being a public company. It was then sold off, bought, it became available. And your father found that one too, did he?
He did, yep.
And you get on the phone, Kylie, have I got an opportunity for you?
Yeah. It was just, I think the story goes, if I remember rightly, because it was a while ago, that the farmer never really wanted to sell it to anybody. And then when he found out we were somehow related, that was the answer.
Gee, you've had some luck in your life, haven't you? John Gaines helps you to get into Kentucky.
But Blandford has such a great history.
Yeah.
And it just wonderful piece of property.
There's that wonderful entranceway to it. You drive and you don't even have to get out to open the gates. They open
I said that to my parents the other day. They said, oh, we're safe here. I went, what do you mean? I just drive up to the gates and they open.
Hey, listen, what about the house that they have built there? I mean, our screen, I don't think is big enough to fit it in. It's a massive house. Did you have any involvement in that? Was that just Helen Gay and Graham?
That's nothing. I was not involved in that. That's their thing.
And it's worked out well? I know you're no longer involved. The farm, the property, all going well?
All going well, yes.
And of course, we've seen the result of some of those horses that you've bred from. They're coming through. Hey, listen, everything was going super Sports Illustrated and everything else. Looking back at your career, all of a sudden, and I don't know whether you wanted to go down the acting career or not, in 2001 you do Playboy, you do the interviews with Howard Stern. It's almost like you wanted to go in a new direction because it seemed to be a total departure from what I perceived to be a model's type career.
Oh, I think I was just on a hiatus in LA and, I wanted to get away from New York, so I just left. I got up and I left and I went to my apartment in LA and that was it.
So you did all the driving of that? It was all you didn't have a PA or some management sort of say, hey, listen to what we're going to do? Because it was almost like shock type stuff.
No, I'd had enough.
Yeah.
I needed a break. I hadn't been on holiday, I hadn't been anywhere, so all I did was just pack my bags. And I still had my apartment in New York, but I just was like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm finished for a while.
And did you see yourself in an acting career?
No, I that's not what I wanted to do in the end. It was interesting for the few things that I did, but after that, no. I wasn't quite sure whether I was going to go back to modelling in New York, but I definitely needed a break, so that's what I was there for.
And there seems to be a gap. I mean, obviously you work still in the modelling and things like that through to in the early 2000s?
Yeah, I was still working here and there, and actually that's how I met my husband.
Speros Porters.
Yeah. He was shooting and he needed a model because one of the supermodels that he'd booked got sick. So there I was and I just took her spot and that's how we met.
I was going to ask you all that. So that's how you met. He had a child already. And so, you got together. Massive, there you are. Good looking bloke. Eh?
He's okay.
He's okay. Big change for you. I know with my wife coming and joining me when I've got two kids, a big,
I wasn't
big change.
expecting to find somebody and fall in love. It was just not on my agenda.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much what happened. Then I've got 3 daughters now.
3 daughters, 2000. And everywhere I read, it seems to me that that's been the biggest change in your life is having children.
Oh yeah, it's a meaning of life, having kids. It's wonderful. It gives everything a reason. Before that, I was just working for me. Now I'm working for them.
These are the 3 kids. Which one's which? Doni is one of them. Which?
So the Oni is the middle one there. She's 6.
Yeah.
Lito she's 8.5.
Yeah.
And then the baby's 19 months.
19 months.
So the older one is Lito.
Yeah. Okay.
And they've all got ancient Greek names. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's Lito, the Oni, and the Nai.
Oh, very nice. That's
They're
nice.
all named after ancient goddesses and Greek goddesses.
Because let's just explain this. Speros Porters is Greek. Do you have any interest in horses himself?
Yes, he actually, quite the contrary to me, because I was in the breeding side of everything, and that's what I love to do. And his family was involved in racing. His brother was a jockey.
Yeah. He must have been the runt of the litter, because my memory of Speros meeting last year he wasn't that small.
He's one of 7.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And so you had racing in the blood. I mean, how soon did you realise you both had an interest in horses? I mean, wouldn't have been on the first photo shoot, I dare say.
No, I didn't realise it for a while, and then when I did meet his family, then I was told the story that, so I didn't. There's so much to learn. He's Greek. He's got so much culture behind him that all these stories coming all at me at once. But yeah, he was.
Yeah. Hey, listen. One thing I did remember talking about coming home is you were involved with the Phobic Trust.
Wonderful.
Maria Reid, is it?
Yeah, Marcia Reid.
Marcia Reid. Because I went along. That was the first time I'd seen you for a long time. Well, since the pre-Diocesan days. You're patron. Of the
I
Phobic
took
Trust.
over from Sir Edmund Hillary. As being patron of that.
And we
trust.
ran a charity evening. Your father got me and said, Stephen, we'd like you to come do the charity auction. And we did it. And the one thing I remember, apart from all the A-listers there, was we sold a lunch with you and Donald Trump at George's restaurant in New York.
Yes. Somebody actually paid quite a bit of money for that.
48,000, I think it was.
50,000,
It was, and because I remember we were going along, Women's Day came in and threw in the airfares, and it just boosted it up again. My memory too, and you can correct me here, and I know you're going to say, well, Stephen, I've got no memory for this. I reckon that was the night Eric Watson met Nikki Watson for the first time.
Maybe.
Was it? You don't remember?
I don't remember.
You don't recall? Okay. That was just something I always
Never
put together.
know.
You never know. Did you have that lunch with Donald Trump?
Yes. I think the person who bought it was quite thrilled to be able to sit down with Donald and talk business, because he was a businessman that bought it. So they were bantering back and forth, and Donald's wife was there, Melania. So yeah, it was nice.
It's interesting to have these sort of people's names just thrown in there. We see on The Apprentice, who wants, The Apprentice and all these things, these sort of untouchable type people. You're rubbing shoulders. You call them friends.
It was just the time. It really was. In that era, it was about models and, the hierarchy of fashion and businessmen. It was just, that was the time. I don't think it's definitely not the same anymore. I think you find a lot of the actresses do covers of magazines. It's sort of progressed into the actresses being on the covers and doing a lot of the work that models would do. So, but back then it was just normal. You live in New York. It's an island. Kind of see the same people at the same big red carpet events.
9/11.
Oh yeah. I actually lived down in Battery Park City for 3 years, and then I moved to 14th Street for 3 years, and so I was on 14th Street, but I'd lived in that area where the towers were, and I'd been through every day to the subway. So all the people who were working in the cookie shop, I love cookies, and all that sort of stuff, and it was just. I remember going out of because I was actually living in LA at that time. I'd come back to New York because I was travelling quite a bit, and I was staying at a friend's house, and they were out of town. I was just babysitting this house for the condo apartment for them. I walked out to go to the gym early in the morning, and all I see were these people running up the street with dust all over them. I mean, I was on 16th Street at that point, so they'd come quite far. There's one tower already down. So I go into Equinox, a gym, and everybody's staring at the TV monitor, and they see the other plane go in and then come down, and everybody just stopped. It was silent, and everybody was looking at each other, and you're thinking, what do I do now? I mean, because you're in this city that just was under siege, basically, or it was a mess. People, running everywhere, and then it just basically, after that day, it just shut down. There was quiet as a dormouse. You wouldn't see anybody outside for the next week or so.
Did that coincide with wanting to get out of New York? I'm just trying to put the timing together.
I'd left a month before.
Had you?
1 month before. So, I don't know, my radar.
Hey, rolling forward, back, as I say, married to Spiros. Children, impact on your career?
Big time, because I didn't realise that I loved being a mum. I was going to love being a mum. I just loved being a mum. I really wanted to focus on the kids, so I just did take extra time out to be a mum. And
was Spiros still working at this stage?
Spiros is a photographer,
yeah.
So he was doing his thing, but I was focused on my kids all the time. It was about my kids.
Who took this photo? It wasn't Spiros, was that one of yours?
I took that.
You take it? I mean, is that something you dabbled in? Having been the other side?
Pictures. I take a lot of pictures of my kids and landscapes.
You're into social media and all that, because I mean you've got your webpage and your blogs and stuff like that. Do you tweet? You tweet?
I have a Kylie Bax Twitter account, and I have the horse Twitter account. I don't know about the Kylie Bax one, but because I really don't take much notice of that one. I'm just all about the horses. I just Twitter about the horses. That's my passion and my love.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is how you've gone with it. You went to Greece in 2009.
We went to Greece at the end of 2009. Just for summer holidays. Ended up staying there.
Not the best financial move, I wouldn't have thought, given the way Greece went.
Unfortunately, just when we got there, everything started to fall down around.
But you had your assets around the world anyway. That coincided, obviously, around 2009 with your selling out to Owen Glenn. It was a friend of yours?
Yeah, it was around about there, or just after that.
Selling out of Blandford. That must have been hard to do.
It was the time.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was the right time for me. And now back here, wanting to start something that, Spiros and myself, that's our property.
Because around that time too, you moved from Greece finally, you came to Australia. You were looking to possibly set up there? Yeah,
well, we're looking at Australia. We're going around all the stud farms and all the properties around Sydney. But I just couldn't get over the fact that it's not comparable to the Kiwi land.
They got snakes.
That was my husband's. He doesn't like snakes, and he never wanted the thought of having to go out and put his foot in the gumboot with a snake. Maybe a snake was in there, or whatever. Yeah, poisonous things as well.
Yeah. Hey, listen, was this? Do you remember this photo?
Yeah.
Where's that? You got a broken arm.
No, that was actually my sweater.
Oh, is that your sweater?
That's fashion,
Oh, is that
Steve.
fashion? But you did break your arm. I read about that. You broke your arm.
That was actually. It was before I met my husband. It was about a year before. I think I was 26 or something like that.
Yeah, and you broke your arm in the modelling shoot doing a karate kick. Can I just ask this? Can I ask this before we go to a break? How do you get on living your life in the papers to the extent that you do? I mean, how hard is it?
Got to the really difficult, and New York got to the point where everybody was saying, "Oh, she's at that party, she's at that." Wait a minute, I was in bed, sleeping. Yeah. So it got ridiculous. It got really ridiculous because there was no social, there was no Twitters at that point. There was no, it was just the newspaper. So Page 6, Daily Post,
Once it's there too, it's taken as gospel. It's real.
Exactly.
Exactly. Because but the other thing, I know about the hepatitis. I know about the broken arm just by simply reading back about. I know things about your life.
You know my medical history.
Exactly. I know your medical.
Scary.
Yeah, it is a bit scary. It must have been hard to get to terms with. But I suppose in some ways too, it helps maintain your profile. So it's a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they say any publicity is good, but I don't believe in that. Because especially when you have a family, you have to protect your family. That's so important.
Yeah. Well, Off the Track, I dare say, is doing wonders for her profile now. We'll be back after this break for the final part, and we're going to focus more on the horses that have been a part of Kylie Bax's life.